Chapter 1. Origins. The Making of a Silent Assassin. Souls of Sports. Number 9. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Before the sold-out arenas, before the sneaker deals, and long before he led the Oklahoma City Thunder to a deep playoff run, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was just a quiet, lanky kid from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Born on July 12, 1998, in Toronto, Shai was raised in a household that quietly echoed with athletic excellence. His mother, Shai Gilgeous, was no ordinary mom. She was a former Olympic sprinter who competed in the 1992 Barcelona Games, repping Antigua and Barbuda on the world stage. His father, Vaughn Alexander, was a hooper too, known for his skills on the local scene and for instilling the importance of fundamentals and mental toughness into his son. From day one, Shai had athletic DNA in his blood, but no one could predict just how far he'd take it. When Shai was still young, his parents separated, and he moved with his mom to Hamilton, a quieter, more grounded place than Toronto's big city energy. Charmaine wasn't just raising a son, she was molding a future. Professional. Her discipline and focused mindset left a lasting mark on Shai, who grew up polite, humble, and laser-focused on whatever task was in front of him. There wasn't a need for flash or noise. He let his work speak. That quiet composure that defines him today was born in those early days, walking the snow-covered sidewalks of Hamilton with dreams far bigger than his surroundings. Basketball wasn't something he was instantly great at. In fact, in 9th grade, Shai didn't even make the junior team at St. Thomas More Catholic Secondary School. He played for the midget team instead, a level below, and led them to a city championship. Where other kids might have quit or sulked, Shai locked in. He transferred schools multiple times in those early years, bouncing from Sir Allan McNabb Secondary School back to St. Thomas More, and eventually making a bold move. He crossed the border to finish high school at Hamilton Heights Christian Academy in Chattanooga, Tennessee. That move was everything. He was betting on himself early. In Tennessee, the lights got brighter. The competition was tougher. The gym floors were shinier. But Shai stayed the same, quiet, respectful, and driven. He wasn't putting up wild numbers or going viral with dunks. Instead, scouts noticed his footwork, his court vision, his insane body control, and that smooth pace that made it feel like he was always one step ahead, like he was playing jazz, while the rest were stuck in traffic. Coaches started to take note. Big-time schools came knocking. This was the birth of the player we know today, a composed, highly intelligent guard who doesn't chase the game. He controls it. He wasn't a chosen one with cameras in his face at age 14. He carved his path quietly, humbly, and with pure love for the game. His early life wasn't just a prelude to stardom. It was the foundation of everything. His mental discipline, his loyalty, his team-first mentality, and that rare, calm energy that's helped make him one of the most respected players in the league. Before the league called him SGA, he was just Shai, a Canadian kid, a dreamer, and an assassin in the making. Chapter 2. Kentucky Days. Earning his name in blue blood territory, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's leap to the University of Kentucky in 2017 wasn't just a basketball decision, it was a life move. Kentucky isn't just any school, it's a basketball factory. Legends walk the halls, pressure rides in the air. Coach John Calipari doesn't just hand out minutes, you earn them, every dribble, every possession. And that's exactly what SGA did. When Shai arrived on campus, he wasn't the headliner. Not even close. He was ranked lower than several other freshmen on the roster and wasn't projected to start. Early mock drafts didn't have his name in the top tiers. But true hoop heads know, some players bloom under spotlights, others under pressure. Shai didn't just bloom, he exploded. At first, he came off the bench, quiet again, humble again, observing, learning, taking notes. And then, opportunity met preparation. Calipari saw something that couldn't be taught: poise, patience, an almost eerie calm in the middle of chaos. SGA took over the starting point guard role midway through the season and never looked back. His transformation was surgical. By the time March Madness hit, Shai was the engine of that Kentucky squad. He averaged 14.4 points, 5.1 assists, 4.1 rebounds, and 1.6 steals per game for the season, but his postseason performance is what sealed the deal. In the SEC tournament, he dropped 29 points against Vanderbilt. In the NCAA tournament, he showed out again, putting up 19 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, and 5 steals in a huge win over Davidson, followed by 27 points and 6 assists against Buffalo. He was Kentucky's most consistent and composed player, often looking like a 10-year vet among freshman chaos. What stood out wasn't just the stat line, it was the feel. His pace, his decision-making, that hesitation move that left defenders frozen like mannequins. He wasn't flashy, but he was effective. He had this ability to get to his spot whenever he wanted, with a herky-jerky rhythm that confused defenders. He didn't overpower anyone, he outsmarted them. SGA's basketball IQ was shining through, and scouts started to pay serious attention. Off the court, Shai stayed low-key. No wild headlines, no distractions. He showed up to practice early, left late, and stayed locked in. It was classic Shai. No theatrics, just the grind. His professionalism, even as a teenager, hinted at what was to come. He wasn't chasing social media clips or viral dunks. He was building a resume. By the end of the 2017-18 season, SGA declared for the NBA draft. And just like that, the once-overlooked kid from Hamilton had gone from a bench role in Lexington to a one-and-done star with first-round potential. He had climbed the ranks the hard way, earned, not handed. Kentucky helped mold Shai, but it didn't make him. He was already built for this. The NCAA stage just gave the world a front-row seat. Chapter 3, Draft Night and the LA. Prelude. The 2018 NBA Draft didn't start with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's name echoing through the Barclays Center speakers, but it didn't take long. On June 21, 2018, the Charlotte Hornets selected Shai with the 11th overall pick, but in a blink, he was on the move. A trade deal with the Los Angeles Clippers sent him west in exchange for Miles Bridges and 2 future second-round picks. Just like that, Shai's pro journey began in the City of Angels. At first glance, it looked like he'd have to wait his turn. The Clippers weren't tanking. They weren't rebuilding from scratch. They still had veterans, a system, and expectations. But from the jump, SGA showed the same cool-headedness he'd flexed at Kentucky. It didn't matter that he wasn't the most hyped rookie. It didn't matter that he was soft-spoken. What mattered was that he was ready. In his rookie year, 2018-19, Shai played in 82 games and started 73 of them. He averaged 10.8 points, 3.3 assists, and 2.8 rebounds per game. Not eye-popping numbers, but this wasn't about flash. This was about establishing himself as a professional, and he did just that. Coaches praised his maturity. Teammates respected his IQ. Fans started recognizing that smooth, slithering style that didn't scream superstar, but whispered, problem. His pace was already elite. He didn't rush. He didn't force. He flowed. That same slippery, methodical game that fooled SEC defenders was now working in the league. Floaters, pull-ups, hesitations, defensive reads, SGA was quietly stacking tools in his bag. What stood out was how composed he looked. He didn't play like a 20-year-old rookie. He played like he'd been there before. Then came the 2019 NBA playoffs. The Clippers were up against a powerhouse Golden State squad stacked with Steph, Clay, and KD. Shai stepped onto the court for that series like a vet and balled out in Game 4, dropping 25 points, his playoff career high at the time. That moment told the world something. This kid wasn't fazed by the moment, but just when it seemed like his Clipper future was secure, the NBA's business side kicked in. That summer, the Clippers made a franchise-altering move, landing Paul George from the Oklahoma City Thunder. And guess who was the crown jewel of the trade package OKC demanded? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. To many, it looked like a sacrifice. LA had to give up a promising young guard to get a proven star. But for OKC, it wasn't just a throw-in. They saw what Shai was becoming. They saw the future. He wasn't a role player. He was a foundational piece. And just like that, SGA was headed to Oklahoma. The move turned out to be the beginning of something bigger. While others saw a rebuild, Shai saw an opportunity. He went from a supporting cast member to the leading role. It was no longer about fitting in. It was about building something of his own. LA was a necessary chapter. It gave him poise. It gave him playoff reps. It gave him hunger. But Oklahoma? That was where the legend would begin. And even though the lights of Hollywood faded behind him, the spotlight was far from gone. In fact, it was just getting started. Chapter 4. Planting Roots in OKC Souls of Sports. Number 9. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. When Shai Gilgeous-Alexander landed in Oklahoma City in the summer of 2019, there was no instant buzz, no big welcome parade, no superstar billboards going up overnight. Paul George was gone. Russell Westbrook had just been shipped to Houston. The Thunder were starting from scratch. But inside that quiet storm, Shai was ready to build something, slow, steady, and from the ground up. He showed up to OKC with the mindset of a worker, not a celebrity. The organization could feel that. While the headlines focused on the draft picks OKC had acquired in the blockbuster trades, real hoop heads were paying attention to the quiet Canadian kid with the long frame, gliding step, and a game that felt like it was still hiding secrets. The 2019-2020 season became his proving ground. Shai didn't just take a leap, he levitated. His scoring average jumped from 10.8 to 19.0 points per game. His efficiency stayed sharp, his defense improved, and he showed signs that he could be more than a nice player. He could be that guy. Playing alongside seasoned vets like Chris Paul and Dennis Schroeder, he learned the nuances of leadership and pacing a game. CP3 gave him a crash course in being a floor general, and Shai soaked it all in. That year, the Thunder weren't expected to make noise, but they did. They pushed the Houston Rockets to 7 games in the first round of the playoffs, and Shai played a major role in every step. But even with that postseason experience, the Thunder's rebuild wasn't delayed. It was just beginning. Once Chris Paul was traded and OKC fully committed to the youth movement, Shai became the unquestioned centerpiece. The franchise handed him the keys, not because he demanded them, but because he earned them. His demeanor stayed low-key, but his numbers started climbing like a stock you wish you had invested in early. In 2020-2021, he averaged 23.7 points, 5.9 assists, and 4.7 rebounds. Then came injury setbacks that limited him to 35 games. It didn't stop his grind, though. What people began to realize was that SGA wasn't a flash-in-the-pan scorer. He was a student of the game. He'd watch film, fine-tune his footwork, and expand his bag without ever flashing ego. He wasn't caught up in hype. He was caught up in improvement. And OKC, being a small market, was the perfect setting. No distractions. No outside pressure. Just hardwood, hustle, and home cooking. Around this time, Shai's influence went deeper than just buckets. He started helping set the tone for the team culture. He wasn't a loud leader, but his focus, calmness, and constant growth made the younger guys respect him. When Chet Holmgren got drafted, when Jalen Williams arrived, they walked into a culture where work was expected, and Shai was the example. Oklahoma City fans began to realize that they weren't just rebuilding, they were watching something special grow before their eyes. They saw SGA not as a temporary star waiting to bolt, but as a cornerstone they could believe in. His contract extension in 2021, 5 years, $172 million, proved the Thunder believed it too. He didn't demand the spotlight, but he made it come to him. What followed was a patient rise. No big drama, no chasing clout, just a kid who understood his role, grew into it, and started leading by example. And quietly, almost too quietly, he was becoming one of the most dangerous guards in the league.